How should a player deal with another problem player? I think a lot of times players look to their dungeon masters to take the lead on this, but what if your dungeon master isn't? In this video, I'm going to look at some steps that a player can take to resolve issues with another player. Hey, Luke Hart here. I have been a dungeon master since high school, and on this channel I make weekly videos with the goal of getting information and resources to dungeon masters to help them run awesome games. So if you're looking to level up your D&D game, roll a crit on that subscribe button down below. Now, a little while ago, I did a video on how dungeon masters should deal with problem players in their games. I will put a link up in the card here for that. However, today on Ask a DM, we're going to take a look at what a player can do if he has issues with another player. Paul from YouTube asks, I am a PC in a game with another player who is doing things such as killing NPCs, attacking my PC, metagaming to the point of putting my PC in saving throws as a punishment for actions that his PC was not even a witness to. Now, my PC is not a nice guy and would seek vengeance for the attack, but I don't want to cause more stress on our game. For the roleplay aspect, my PC has to respond. So my question is, what can a player do to deal with another problem player? Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. I think the first step, I'm going to be honest. Am I not always honest? I hope I am. Anyway, the first step to resolving this problem is to talk to your dungeon master. At the end of the day, your dungeon master is the one running the game. The first thing that I would do is ask your dungeon master what his expectations are for intra-party conflict. That is, does he think that it's okay in his game for PCs to attack other PCs? Ask him if that's something that he is okay with, or if it's something that he would rather avoid. This is a good opportunity, too, to bring up that whole thing about PCs attacking lots of NPCs in the game, going on a murder streak, so to speak, and see what his thoughts are on that. Is that something that he wants to avoid in his games, or is that totally on the table and he's totally fine with that sort of thing? Now, as I'm actually saying this, my immediate thoughts go to having a session 0, or the question, was there a session 0, and did the dungeon master address these things or not? And if he didn't, then there's nothing wrong with going after the fact and clarifying things. Setting expectations is very important to understand what your dungeon master's goal with the game is, and what his... That idea just teetered out on me, and so I know I'm just kind of staring oddly at the camera. I should probably stop now. Now let's assume that your dungeon master doesn't want PCs attacking other PCs in his game. In that case, the conversation is going to shift to how the other player, let's call him Jack, was attacking your PC. I would explain to your dungeon master how these things, the other player attacking NPCs, attacking you, is making the game worse for you, if it is in fact making the game worse for you, or at least explain to him how your PC feels the need to seek vengeance. Because there is a chance that your dungeon master isn't okay with all of these things going on, and he doesn't want Jack running amok in his game. Of course, if your dungeon master is okay with all of these things, then just go and attack Jack, and don't worry about killing NPCs and stuff. But the chances are good that your dungeon master doesn't want all of that stuff happening, and he just doesn't have the courage, perhaps, to talk to Jack by himself. At that time, you can offer to help him have that conversation with him. In that conversation, your dungeon master would explain to Jack that attacking lots of other NPCs and killing them for kicks and attacking other PCs is not okay, and that he doesn't want to have that stuff happening in his game. And you as a player can explain your point of view to Jack and let him know that it creates tension in the group and sort of steals the fun from the game. This is assuming that it is creating tension and that it is stealing the fun, because it might not be. Your group might be running the sort of game where it's like heroes gone wild, and killing NPCs and running amok and doing all of these things is what you guys do, and you guys all have fun doing that. And if that's the type of game that you're running and you are all enjoying that, then that's great. I think in that case, what you really need to do is just understand that that's the type of game your DM wants to run. And that way you won't have this feeling of not being quite sure if you should attack Jack when he attacks you. But anyway, let's assume that your Dungeon Master doesn't want to run a game like that, and you guys speak with Jack, and you kind of set the expectations that we are not expecting to run a game where we're just going around killing NPCs for kicks, and attacking other PCs is not something that we want to have in this game. Once you guys set the expectations with Jack, what needs to happen at that point is Jack needs to either change his behavior or be removed from the game. Another good thing to do at this point too, and this is perhaps before you speak with Jack, is get a gauge of the other players' feelings in the game. Are they having similar feelings of not quite liking the whole killing all the NPCs thing or attacking other players? If you know that most of the other players don't like this sort of thing, that would make your conversation with your DM initially much more impactful if you can say, hey, I spoke with some of the other players and all of us kind of don't like what's going on here with Jack. And also, when you do finally come to Jack, you can tell him, hey, look, most of the group doesn't want to run a game where we're just going around killing NPCs for kicks and attacking each other. And it helps to reinforce that conversation and make it more impactful when you're talking with him. All right, real quick, let me know down in the comments how you as a player would deal with another problem player. And also, I'd like to have a sort of a story time. Let me know what the worst player problem is that you ever had in a game. All right, now, if the Dungeon Master is okay with PCs just slaughtering NPCs for kicks and attacking other PCs, you have a very important decision to make. You can either continue your previous course in not doing anything about these PC aggressions toward your character. You can attack the other PC and get vengeance because that's what your character would do. Or if none of these options are really to your suiting, then you could always try to find a different group to play with. The first option is probably going to leave you feeling a little bit unsatisfied. Option number 2 is either going to make you feel really good because your character finally got vengeance on the other PC, or is going to create tension in the group and potentially make things worse. And number 3, well, if you find another group that is running the sort of game that you really want to play, then that could go really well for you too. And if this whole situation is just a big stinking mess and nothing is working and the group dynamics are all messed up, then you can do what lots of Dungeons & Dragons players do when they find themselves in groups that they don't like. They leave the group and start their own game as a Dungeon Master. I have a feeling that lots of Dungeon Masters get their start this way, and if you know that some of the other players in the group don't like the way things that are going, you might consider recruiting them to your own group too. Now, I'm not necessarily advocating stealing them and destroying the other DM's group, because that's not really very cool. However, players can be in more than one group, and you might have them in your group and in the other group. Oh, as a quick reminder, the Dungeons & Dragons book giveaway that I'm running with Mr. Tarask is open until the end of September. So, if you want to get in on that, I will put a link down in the description. Oh, by the way, the other day I was kind of looking through Kickstarter, and I came across this really sweet-looking Kickstarter called Tactical Tokens. It looks like this guy is looking to create little tokens like that can be used on a grid in place of minis. And the tokens, they have some sort of adhesive or something on them. If you look at the video, you can clearly see that they're sticking to the grid and even to your DM's screen. And the other cool thing about them is the artwork looks really sweet. I actually backed this thing myself. I'm really hoping that it succeeds because I think what I really think would be useful for these little tokens is using them at conventions. Because here's the thing, I have an entire tackle, I will show you this. I have this massive tackle box with minis, and I also have lots of other little tackle boxes full of minis. And when I run games at conventions, it is a pain in the butt to lug these things all around. And so I think that these little tiny tokens would be very helpful at conventions. I will put a link down in the description if you want to check this thing out. As a quick note, the Kickstarter does close on September 14th. As always, if you have any questions about dungeon mastering or you have a question or a problem about your game, please let me know down in the comments. I'm always happy to help. And until next time, let's play D&D.